This is MSU Today. Here's Russ White.
Welcome to another episode of Chopping It Up with the Chief, with Michigan State University Vice President for Public Safety and Chief of Police, Marlon Lynch.
I guess I'd like to start first by just recognizing the passing of former MSU Chief of Police, Kelly Rodebush. My time with Kelly was not necessarily here at MSU as a professional in police and public safety, but we were classmates together here in the School of Criminal Justice and served a year at Meridian Township Police Department as police cadets. And so had an opportunity to establish a relationship and kept in touch over the years. And she touched a lot of people, that's for certain. A lot of people, just a quality person. And she will definitely be missed, but never forgotten.
Joining Chief Lynch today is Assistant Chief Doug Monette, who leads the Police Services Bureau.
Assistant Chief Doug Monette is responsible for our Police Services Bureau. And Doug will share exactly what's in there, that area of responsibility, that is. But this was part of our overall reorganization as we began our initiatives to maintain that quality level of professionalism and quality service delivery, but to have a higher level of community engagement, as well as maintaining what is expected of us for our community.
I spent about 9.5 years over to East Lansing Police Department before coming here. I have been here over 25 years. The roles that I've had as a police officer include patrolman, patrol supervisor, detective, detective sergeant, detective lieutenant, captain, assistant chief, and until vice president, chief of police Lynch was named, I was the interim chief here at Michigan State University Police Department. I've been here a long time. I've been here roughly around 35 years, and I've loved every minute of it. And this is a great place. It's a great organization, and look forward to the future.
And how would you say policing has changed in that time? I'm sure, in a lot of ways, but just be curious in how you've seen policing change over the years.
Policing has changed over years. Some of it has been cyclical because when I first got into it, community policing was a big piece of this. And now, during the time, there was a little bit of a transition. And part of that was more investigative type of traffic stops, things like that. We are getting back to the community policing, which is known as community engagement, getting to know our community, getting to know our faculty, staff, and students, because that's really important. That's why we're here. And in doing that, developing those relationships, developing those contacts, we can better service our community.
And Chief Lynch, wasn't the community policing even ideal, sort of created in the criminal justice school you graduated from, if I recall correctly? The whole concept of community policing. That's
exactly it, Russ. Dr. Robert Trujanowicz. And, I was fortunate enough to have him as a professor. He was one of the founding fathers, or one of the original, not just to think of it as a theoretical, but the practical components of it as well. And the School of Criminal Justice here is definitely has been a leader in just the overall concept of it with that.
And let's remind people, when you talk about community policing, and like you said, you've adjusted to better meet the needs of the Spartan community, what do you mean? How does that play out?
Well, for us, it's something that we do all the time, not just some of the time. For us, again, it is that day-to-day engagement, being part of the community, not just responding during a time of crisis or critical incident, but being familiar enough with the community where they're comfortable enough to share information with us, as well as maintaining the open line of communication, both formally, whether that's through an advisory committee, or informally by the officer that is responsible for that actual neighborhood and in partnership with our community stakeholders.
Vice President, Chief of Police Lynch, when he came here, he saw that we were kind of not connected the way that we had been in the past. We were doing more community team policing, where it was a group of people. that was overseeing an area with one person responsible. We have gone back to the individual, the point of contact, the everyday commitment, the everyday contact, the interaction with our faculty, staff, and students to get a better understanding. In doing that, we can provide a better service because we are connected, supportive, and engaged.
What about as you move forward, some challenges, some opportunities?
Well, what's really exciting for me is in the area that I oversee the patrol units, I oversee the investigation units, and emergency management. In those divisions are different subsections. For example, the patrol unit is the Canine Unit, and how we have kind of reestablished that, regained and added to it since then. In emergency management, we have special events. The special events are the 1,300 events that we have on campus that we have officers part of. And then doing that, responsible for providing police and security functions for all these. We coordinate and assist the planning of special events on campus as it comes around here, the different events. Some of the other things that I get the opportunity to talk about is the Honor Guard. At the start of this, Vice President, Chief of Police Lynch talked about the passing of former Chief Kelly Rodebush. Right now, our Honor Guard has been very active, putting together the funeral memorial service, which is the purpose to honor the ultimate sacrifice of those who have fallen. Chief Rodebush was very important to us, and with that, we want to make sure that we do everything right. She still will have her husband, Detective Jerry Rodebush, still employed, and we need to make sure that we are engaged and that trauma-informed that you have talked about before, our interactions, not just with the public, the witnesses and suspects and victims, but we need to do that with ourselves because internally we are going through some tough times right now with the passing of Chief Kelly Rodebush.
And that's part of an overall, we talk about the health of our community. The officer well-being is just as important. If our officers and staff are not comfortable and healthy and may need assistance themselves, how could we have the expectation that they could provide that for the community? So that's a point that we're definitely going to follow up on with this and partner with our university resources to make sure that everyone who needs assistance has that available to them.
Russ, with that engagement, the chips in the bank as we have continued to make contact with our different partners on campus, we are employing that. And that is something that we've, Chief Lynch and I have talked about and wanted to make sure that those things will be provided to our employees as we work through this week and next week and as we move forward. Because that will be a situation that we need to, it's the elephant in the room. We just need to talk about mental health and the services for our officers is paramount.
Doug's area is the most visible. The patrol unit that's what everyone knows, right? The marked police vehicles, the uniformed police officers, those are the officers that respond to you directly when you need assistance. That's a very important part of what we do. And to have that particular group of officers on board in regards to the community engagement components, but also that quality service delivery that is expected for our particular community with that. And a lot of the specialized units as well with that. Our Canine Unit is very visible. Our Canine Unit is utilized not only here on campus, but to our neighboring law enforcement community or partners as well with that. And our investigations, those are the follow-ups with it. We have a very specialized unit, our digital forensics and cybercrime unit. Again, a very important part of the overall law enforcement community here in the area with that. And so probably the largest area of the department as far as number of officers assigned to it as well. So it's that particular area, Police Services Bureau, is a key component to what goes on. It actually is the beginning and sometimes the end of the cycle of services for us. some of the others leaders in the department that you've spoken with thus far, more specialized and their parameters are a little smaller. Assistant Chief Monette's area encompasses a lot with that. And so the familiarity of what they do and how they do it is important to how our relationship will be with our community.
You know, Russ, one of the things that I think is really important is that people have a good understanding that the patrol unit provides service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The patrol officers are typically the first responders to incidents and respond directly to calls when dispatched from Ingham County Regional 911 Center. When they're not on calls, they're patrolling, actively engaging with our campus partners to solve quality of life issues and problems proactively. Focus on current criminal and safety-related issues throughout the community. It's important that we're out there and that we're a resource for our community. And it's important that our officers, in which they do, they get out of their cars, they walk the buildings, they walk the sidewalks, even in the winter. They're out there engaging with people because putting a name with a face is really important. And it's better to know someone to contact. Like I said earlier, chips in the bank. Having an opportunity, if someone has a crisis, we want them to be comfortable to call us. And that's why we're there.
Well, Russ, I would just add that spring semester for us, although we're looking at snow, it is spring semester technically for us. We know that this will be a very active spring as we transition from winter to spring with that. Our campus is fully engaged at this point. Our residence halls are full. We have in-person classes. We have home basketball games, transitioning into some of this other spring sports of softball, baseball, and things of that nature. So we have a lot of visitors on campus. And so the activity of the campus will increase as the weather continues to warm and transition from winter to spring. And we're here, and we're looking forward to having that positive impact on those that we serve and are here as part of the community every day, all day.
I really appreciate this opportunity just to have a conversation about what we do, how we do, and the way to do it. We're very proud of our organization. We're very proud of our people. They are highly trained. They are highly skilled. And in doing that, they provide a wonderful service for our community.
That was the Assistant Chief for the Michigan State University Police, Doug Monette. You also heard from MSU's Vice President for Public Safety and Chief of Police, Marlon Lynch, on this edition of Chopping It Up with the Chief. Learn more at police.msu.edu. I'm Russ White for MSU Today.
Find, rate, and subscribe to MSU Today with Russ White on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you get your shows. And please share this conversation if you're so inclined.